here we are. We're live.
Isn't this exciting?
Hi, Preston. Thank you so much for being here.
It's really great. And I don't know if you've noticed, we are beginning Christmas.
I know, early.
Look at our colors. We're starting early this year.
I know. Yesterday I was like, you know what? I might as well put up my Christmas tree and let's just get the festivities started and not concentrate on everything that's happening in the world. But thank you so much.
Your daughter is probably very happy about that.
She really is. We're putting the finishing touches on Sunday.
Right.
Thank you so much for being here.
It's amazing.
And I see all these people joining, which I'm so excited about. You know, with everything that's going on in the world, how are you doing?
Oh my God, it depends what day you ask me.
I can understand
yesterday, I had one of those days that I could not literally get out of bed, and I gave into it. I did all of my work and all of my phone calls, my bed, watched Netflix.
I know.
And I got it today.
I think today is going to be one of those days for me because with the weather and the way everything is, but you need that, right? You can't sometimes be on all the time 24/7. So I'm glad that you had one of those days.
Absolutely, and I think in these moments we all are feeling that a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know
absolutely.
about you, but your friends are a little bit depressed, there's a little bit of tension.
I have friends that are just day drinking all day. So trying to get them out of that whole routine, I'm like, hello people, you got to get out of your pajamas.
And I have friends that are eating all like myself. That's not a conversation.
You're so funny. But anyways, we're here
right.
And we're doing this live, and we really want all of our followers to kind of understand luxury and how we're dealing with luxury during this new norm.
Right.
And if you can kind of enlighten us on what that means to you and how that's affecting your business and things like that.
First of all, I don't think this is a norm at all. This is just a temporary situation that we all have to deal with.
Gotcha.
And like in any situation, as we're dealing with it, we kind of are making it up as you go along.
Of course.
Again, in New York City, most of the events, as you probably know, they have to be intense and they have to be outdoor.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you are doing a luxury wedding, it should be a luxury experience, even if it's for 10 people or 20 or 50. So the goal is always to create that luxury experience. I mean, wait a minute, you had a wedding last weekend.
We did, absolutely.
And you have experience.
Yeah, I mean, when we walked into it, at first I was like, what is this going to be like? Because we haven't had a wedding since February. Everything's been shifted and
right.
rescheduled. And, of course, just going through the whole planning process and trying to keep everybody's spirits up and getting there and making sure that, we're comfortable, the guests are comfortable, the couple, their families. But all in all, the whole theme was still, let's do this, and it has to look and feel a certain way, because you don't want to take that away from the guest experience, right? They're excited, the couple's excited, but yeah, I mean, I feel like with whatever this new norm is that everybody keeps referring to, I think that it's really important that the luxury portion of that guest experience does not go away. And that's what we're there for, right? That's exactly what we're in this industry for. And I think yeah.
I completely agree with you. And let's face it, if you're having an event for 10, 20, 500, or 1,000 people, the goal is always to create a great experience. And if it's luxury, it should be luxurious all the way.
Correct. And, I always tell my couples, I'm like, now is not the time to, scrimp and save because you're not going to get this weekend back. Like, still, you're not going to get that weekend back, that experience for yourself, and your guests are always going to be there. And, live that wedding dream that you started off with originally, no matter what is happening in the world. Like, that's your weekend, and it's always going to be your weekend. So
I don't know, and of course, I'm going to be interviewing you too. You didn't know this portion of it. Do you find that a lot of clients are looking for bargains because of the situation?
I do. I have couples that call us, that potential clients, and they're like, I heard weddings are 50% off. I'm like, wait, I'm like, what Target sale did you find out that at? Because that's not really happening. Right. And I think most people in the wedding industry that are, extremely good at what they do, they're still, we've booked, like, I can't even put a number on how many clients since the pandemic started. And I think that it's really important right now to couples to be able to have that right team put together to have that vision come to life, especially now when there's so many other things for their weddings that are changing.
Absolutely. And I do caution the industry that we should all be very vigilant about what we charge and our prices, and just be careful for those shoppers. That's all I have to say on that subject. Okay?
That's true. So let's talk about investing in decor for your wedding. And I call it investing because it is an investment, right? Especially at someone at your level and your caliber. Tell us a little bit about, your background and what this investment looks like.
Right. First of all, I cannot wait for the day that a client comes to me and says, Preston, money is no obstacle. Oh my God, I think I'll die and go to heaven. Which of course is not the case. As you know, it doesn't matter how much money the clients have and whatever, everyone is on a budget.
Of course, of course.
And our responsibility is to take that budget and give them as much value as possible. And as you know, that could be a bit of a challenge because a lot of people come to us and they have big dreams. And how do we manage to balance those two things is always a bit of a challenge. For me, I think it's a matter of sales. And you're like the best salesperson I know.
Am I? I didn't know that, but thank you.
Come on. You certainly are. I'm still speaking with your clients. You're very good in explaining step by step. You're very good in protecting your vendors. And whatever money you get for your vendors, I applaud you, woman. You have that down to a science.
Thank you.
But to answer your question, I think it's really a matter of trial and error a little bit in how we manage that.
Correct. And I always like to remind clients that, you have to establish the budget and you have to be transparent about that budget. If those budgets, it's much easier if they're set realistically in the beginning, and then you're transparent and you tell your vendors, okay, this is my budget. Right. Can you do it? Can you not do it? I think you're going to save so much time in the very beginning, and then take it step by step to say, okay, you know what? All of this is on the wish list, but this is how we can establish the budget and stay within the budget. Or, hey, these are things that are on the wish list that I'm willing to splurge on. Absolutely. And weddings are one of those once in a lifetime kind of opportunities where people can be able to say, okay, I am going to splurge on this, or I do want this. And I think that especially as a bride, I don't know if I even should talk about this, but I get to a point where I feel like the brides sometimes are so shy and coy about saying what they want. And as much as, mom and dad are paying for it or husband-to-be is paying for it, I mean, this is your special day. Absolutely. That you have to be vocal about what makes you happy, right?
Right, and it's good to help them with that voice.
Correct.
Especially you as a planner.
Of course, all planners should be doing this.
And from a design point of view, you want to have that bond with her and let them say what they really want. The only issue with this in giving budgets is that in my case, most of the budgets are unrealistic.
Well, that's our next question, right? We're talking about reality versus the Instagram reality, right? Yeah. And I'm sure you face that just as much as we do. So we have, what's reality and then what everybody is seeing on Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest. And, we get this whole design deck that's like 56 pages. And I'm like, what is all this? I mean, I'm sure you encounter that as well.
Absolutely. And I think Instagram is a blessing in the sense that we all get to expose our work and the very great PR, but also it's a curse.
Correct,
of
course.
It's a curse as
I highly agree.
Don't you agree?
Yeah,
absolutely. As
absolutely.
my clients, they see this amazing work. A lot of time they have shown my work to other people and they will call me and say, Preston, how much was that? And I will say, that was $1,500. My client wants to spend $300 to get the same thing. So the balance between reality and Instagram, there's a huge gap there. And the worst thing also is whenever the client brings you someone's work and say, this is exactly what I want.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, why are you coming? It's like, you go to the person that did it.
No, and not only that, I always remind my brides, at some point in time, we want to create something that is unique and truly you. we don't want to take someone else's wedding and have that be your wedding. Sure,
Absolutely.
for us, that would be like a cajillion times easier. Oh, you show us the pictures, we just produce it. But that's not the industry that we're in, right? Like creating and designing is something so specific just to that client.
Of course. Otherwise, why be in this industry?
Correct.
Besides making money. I mean, but I think one of the joy of this industry, if we get we have the capability of creating something that I've never been seen before.
Absolutely, and I think that we take such a pride and joy in making sure that we work with vendors that are not just going to regurgitate these ideas and it's like, okay, we saw that 5 years ago and now we're going to do it for you.
Right.
Okay, we saw that 3 years ago. Oh, this was on Instagram. No, like this is something that is highly customized for you, just like the menu should be, just like the music, the lighting, the decor, everything kind of comes together to create that experience for you that is not really anybody else's.
Absolutely, and and I think one of the things that you are so good at, once we create the design and the pretty, is making the actual day run and the experience. And we talk about this a million times, creating a great experience. But what is that exactly? And I think you are brilliant at it.
Thank you,
Let
Preston.
me ask you a question. How does one create an experience for a wedding that is unforgettable? Like, for instance, what was the experience that you did last weekend that was so different and unique?
I mean, they were supposed to get married in Italy and now we're in a tent in Pennsylvania. So right there, like we have to be able to make sure that we're kind of moving forward and explaining like all these logistical changes that are happening, but also, having this, whatever her decor vision was that could have been in Italy, we could still do it in Pennsylvania, and creating this whole atmosphere. We worked, that whole weekend was so magical for us because it was all the right vendors coming together. And everybody has this huge level of respect for each other. I'm sure you've worked at weddings where like, this is like the rogue photographer and this is like the rogue this person and you're like, what is happening? But what we try to achieve is this entire team of people that have such a huge respect for each other that everything comes together. The photos are perfect, the video is perfect, the decor is perfect. Because let's face it, you could do $3 million worth of decor, but if the photographer is not photographing it well, or if the videographer is not capturing it, what do you have left with at the end of, those memories don't translate into what you created. So all of these things are, and I always say it, they're like pieces of a puzzle that have to fit together so perfectly, and that's where our job is as planners. When we are recommending vendors, we're really saying, okay, this is the whole vision for this wedding, and these are the vendors that, we really recommend to come in and capture this.
Absolutely, and and I think, as you said, that's your magic in the sense of matching the right people. I must say, however, since the pandemic, all of the vendors are a little bit nicer.
Of course they
We all want a job, so we have to be very nice and very accommodating.
That's so funny. No, and I think we should all just, everybody's nice in general anyways, but now with
I don't know about that, by the way.
I'm putting that out there, but with everything that's happening, yes, I think people are just, they are nicer and they are more appreciative. And I think with brides even, like, I think, they're going through such a wishy-washy time. Like, they have no idea what is happening. Am I going to have 150 people? Am I having 500 people? And even the, poor parents that are like, we've waited for this day forever, and now it's like, we're delayed, it's a lot. Everybody in general is going through a lot. And I think that, kind of reeling in this conversation, it's really about creating a custom experience for our clients, which is super important to you and me. And I think that's why our synergies work so well. I know this is like, you probably get asked this all the time, but what makes Preston Bailey so different? And why Preston Bailey? Because, I have to tell you, when I first met you, I was a little scared of you. I'm like, okay, there's Preston, he's across the room. Do I go say hi? Can I go say hello? And then all of that kind of went out the door once we started talking and chatting. And you're such a warm human being, and I'm so happy to have you be a part of my life. And we have our 4 a.m. phone calls where we're we are the only people that connect at 4 in the morning. Because that's when we're awake, or sometimes even 3:30, right? But what makes Preston Bailey so different, and what do you owe your success to?
Right, I think both of them has one answer, and without knowing it from day one, I always try to create an event or do something that is completely different that I've never been seen before. But as you know, that's easier said than done. In the sense that even though a client comes to you and says, I want something really different, but whenever you show it to them, oh my God, that's too different.
That's too different, yeah.
So there's always that balance of trying to find the right fit for the right client. But from day one, and people, they probably ask you the same questions. How did you get into the luxury market? The answer is very simple. Trying to do something that is different and unique. I mean, that's bottom line. And I think my brand, in general, that's been at the background, at the forefront, that most of the clients that comes to us, that's what they're looking for. The good news is that to create a design that has never been seen before, it's more expensive.
Of course.
Creating some,
custom is custom, right? Custom is custom.
So immediately it puts you in a better position to be the luxury market. It puts you in a position of creating a brand that is unique. For me, it's a great deal of fun because I get to do what I love to do, which is design and come up with really crazy ideas. Some of the ideas are impossible to execute, but
I see your designs and I'm like, okay, I don't know how this is going to work, but I am logistics and you're doing the decor, Preston. Go for it.
I've seen you twice, by the way. So, and I think it's really a matter of always having the integrity. Not always be successful, but trying to do something that has never been done before.
That's really what we're here to do, right, for all of our clients. Thank you so much.
Wait a minute, I have questions for you.
I thought I was going to do the interview.
No. First of all, how are you dealing with this entire situation at the moment with your business? You mentioned that you're very busy next year. How are you dealing with it in general?
I mean, knock on wood, we have been incredibly busy, and I'm not just saying that to, be like, oh my gosh, everything's so busy. But no, we've been so incredibly fortunate and busy and trying to find venues and, just 2021 for us is completely booked because of everything that moved.
Another question, and I don't know about you, but a lot of my clients for 2021 are postponing to 2022.
Correct. Well, luckily we haven't had people from 2021 cancel the 2020, but right now all of the bookings we're getting is 2022 and beyond. So people are really like, okay, you know what, if we're going to plan this and we're going to put a budget towards this that makes sense and is something that's luxurious and grandiose, we need to have that planning time frame. So it's, that's the number one thing, is to give yourself enough time to plan these weddings. And of course, with South Asian weddings, there's like multiple days, multiple events, multiple decor. It's like we're taking one event, but we're doing like 3 events, 3 meal functions, 3. So everything has to be like on super overload for South Asian wedding, which you do a lot of South Asian.
But another question that I have, which I think is a very important one. One of the issues that we're having with booking properties, that if for some reason the event does not happen, how do you deal with that? Are you creating some, as a planner, some deals with certain hotels?
Correct.
In January, the wedding is not possible. Do you return the funds? Does that apply to this future? How are the clients dealing with that part?
We had our team of lawyers set up specific COVID clauses that go into these hotel contracts.
Listen to this, folks.
So,
this is really important.
As soon as all of this started happening with COVID, we kind of noticed that everybody's kind of flying solo. Like the venues don't know what they're doing, the planners don't. So we kind of sat down with our team of attorneys and said, listen, we need language for the hotel, we need language for our contract, and how can we help our clients not get stuck in this position where like they lose the money, they don't have the date. So we are telling all the venues, you at least have to put in your policy that you can postpone at least twice, if not 3 times.
But no money refund.
No money refunded.
That's not an option.
I mean, it can be an option if that's what the venue already has in their contract. I mean, a lot of force majeure clauses from venues already have it that they will get their money back. But with that, we're putting in that you will be able to reschedule and these monies will get shifted over to the new dates.
Got it. You see, the issue that I'm having is the clients that are coming to me, they're saying, listen, if I want to put down $500,000 to buy out that hotel, I want to make sure that if the wedding doesn't happen in May, that I get my money back, if the money could be in escrow. Do you find that that's even doable? Do you think it's a good idea? Of course, the hotels are saying, No way.
Of course. No, we haven't had to deal with that because we've never had someone say, hey, let's put the money into escrow. The main thing is that for everybody that's watching and even planners, you have to pick properties that are financially viable.
Right.
Like you can't, I love doing business with like the Mandarin Oriental in New York. They're not going anywhere. They're owned by the city of Dubai.
Right.
Like this is a solid property that's, so, working with a planner, these are the back end research things that we're doing to make sure that, your property is not folding and now you're like in some litigation kind of thing, right?
Another
so that's
issue,
very important.
and this is going to be a good interview. Another issue that I have is that a few clients are claiming even in hiring vendors as the florist or the band and giving them deposit, they're hesitant because they feel that if everything is so unstable that if the company goes out of business, they're going to be out of pocket.
But again, it goes back to the vendors you hire.
Right.
Right? Like you have to look at vendors that have been in this industry. I've been in the industry 19 years. I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
You've been in the industry for how many years now?
300.
Okay. So you've been in business for 300 years. You're not going anywhere.
Right.
So, this is where this whole process of selecting the right vendors comes from.
Right.
Like, as a planner, why am I recommending to someone, hey, go with this DJ or go with this? We know what the back end of their financials look like. And these are very candid conversations that we have with our vendors. Like, we know that this is not someone who's going to take your money and run. So then the deposit payment, you have to pay a deposit. You're not, booking anybody if you're not paying deposits.
Right.
So at that point in time, to seal in that vendor and to lock in that date, you have to give a deposit. And as a planner, there are times that I will say, okay, instead of 50% deposit, can we do 25? And then we'll do, the other 25 moving along. So there's ways to work it out where everybody's happy. But when we have clients that are like, I don't feel like paying a deposit, I'm like, well, then we don't have a venue. We can't plan your wedding. Like, all of these things that are in place pre-COVID still exist in order to plan your wedding.
Got it. Okay, so the last question. So how
Right.
do you deal as a planner when someone comes to you with that situation? They hire you and said, so now obviously you're very experienced, you know exactly what you're doing, you've been in business for a long time. Do you ask them for non-refundable? How
Everything
does that
is
work?
non-refundable.
That's what a deposit normally it means, by the way, that you're not going to get it back. Do you normally apply it to the balance later?
Correct. I mean, our clients, they pay us a certain amount of a deposit, and then every month or every couple of months they have to pay more because we're continuing the planning. This is like a month-by-month process that they're working with us.
So the way that you do it is by spreading it out?
Correct.
Like in 6 payments?
It can be 6 payments, sometimes it's 8 payments. I mean, we have clients for, October 2022 that they wanted to put like a bigger deposit down and then it's smaller payments, right? So in terms of the actual contract and payment terms, we're quite flexible about it. But as a planner, we are continuing to work on your wedding day in and day out.
Right.
It's very different for other industries. Like for a DJ, you're paying them a deposit and their work doesn't really happen till the weekend of.
Well,
Whereas,
that is your case.
correct, but for us, it's, we're planning. And then our last bit of work is the weekend of when the whole production schedule and us being there on site happens.
And do you bill them before or after?
No, there's nothing to be paid after. Once the
Listen.
once the wedding is over, we want you to go on your honeymoon. The wedding is over, everybody's been paid, and that's how it should be. I mean, it's hard, I guess, for people that have not gone through the whole process and they're not part of the wedding industry to understand. And we do have clients that are like, I'm not paying the DJ till 1:01 when a.m. when the contract's in. I'm like, well, by the time you've had like 16 drinks, we don't even know where to find you. It doesn't work like that.
I know.
And honestly, I find it really tacky on the wedding day to have to chase down people
I
for
know.
payments.
I remember once when
I'm just like, this is a luxury
Yeah.
wedding. We don't have to sit there and be like, oh, hi uncle, where's the money? Hi, like it's just so uncomfortable.
Yeah, no,
and I just find it super tacky.
I remember running after a dad in the bathroom to get my check.
I know.
Literally, he had his thing in his hands and he's like, excuse me, where's my check? Do you have my check with you? So I completely agree with you.
No, and nobody wants to be in that position. And as the planner, you know, and I'm sure there's so many planners that go through this. I mean, even if they say, well, we don't want you to be in charge of the payments, since everybody at the wedding knows that you're the planner, we have everybody, oh, hi, do you have my check? Oh, hi, do you have my check?
Right.
Oh, hi, do you have my check? And so instead of us concentrating on making this event happen, you know, there are so many weddings, and, you know, I'm sure my assistant can remember a few where I'm like literally at the bank with the parents, like, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, and it's not what you want to remember from that wedding weekend, you know. So
anyhow, this is great.
This is great.
This is really wonderful.
I didn't know I was getting interviewed as well, but thank you, Preston.
Thank you for joining us all.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you for being here. I appreciate it so much.
You're welcome, my dear.
Bye. Stay safe. There you go.